How do you define lost? Remember when I was younger, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I grew up. Um, and being in high school, and it's like, well, that person's just lost. They don't know. They don't know what they're going to do when they grow up. And then other cases where you, I'm in college, and it's like, well, I have this major and this major and this minor and all those things. And it's like, well, this person's lost because they don't know what they want to focus on. But being lost is sometimes required to figure out exactly where you're supposed to be. I can think of quite a few years, definitely months, sometimes days, but even so, years, where I wasn't sure where I was supposed to go. Perhaps you can relate. What's supposed to be the thing that I'm supposed to be doing right now? And sometimes when you're quote unquote lost, it's those times when you open up your mind the most. It could be out of desperation, right? Financial or otherwise. Uh, it could be because you don't have the same stipulations, the same beliefs, the same expectations. And in fact, if people are saying that you seem lost or confused, if people do not have those expectations on you, that's an opportunity. So much of the stuff that I do right now, career wise, including in a meta way, hanging out with y'all, are because people didn't expect that much from me in this direction. I went in certain places, creating new paths that other people didn't understand. And because they didn't understand it, they could judge, or more often than not, just not really care until this new thing is happening. And when the new thing is happening, I understand what direction I'm supposed to go in. So it doesn't really matter if other people call you lost or confused. What matters is that you give yourself the space to do so. And if people aren't paying attention to you, if people already have low expectations, if people don't understand what you're doing, there's actually freedom in that. And I think you actually have a higher chance of doing something original and something awesome. But you have to let yourself get a little lost first, at least in the eyes of other people. What were you doing 5 years ago? Is it a lot different than what you're doing now? It might be. I know my world, my entire world, was completely different from a macro scale, um, and definitely from a personal scale, family wise, even career wise. The thing is that it doesn't seem that far back. So if you end up reverse engineering this, 5 years from now, from this exact day, look at it on a calendar if you got one. It's not that far. What is it? 1,500 days, handful of sunsets and sunrises. If you got kids or if you're in school, you know, that's just a few grades. So if you start something now, or more to the point, if you don't start something now, you're going to blink and it's going to be 5 years from now. And because of the mathematical idea, me being middle aged, 5 years is a smaller part of my life than, say, my kids who are a lot younger, obviously. So the further we go, the faster those 5 years go. Why aren't you getting started now? It's not going to get any easier. Okay, come here. Here's the secret. You've already reached a bunch of your goals. You just don't realize it. You can call it the friends, as friends of mine. And when I talk with them, we call it the mountain peak effect. You can call it the being overly ambitious effect. You call it whatever you want. The thing is that if you think back, there's probably goals that you had 5, 10 years ago, maybe even more recently than that. Do you remember what they are? You probably forgot them because you already reached them and they got checked off your list. What happens is that we start to get close to a goal, and oftentimes, particularly for ambitious folks like you and I, we'll get 95%, 99% to the goal. We'll almost be at the goal, and then the brain starts going, hey, I'm making my first million. What if it was 2 million? Hey, I'm about to sell my company. I wonder if I can do it again. If I do it again, it must mean it's real. As I've heard a lot of people say, I'm a business coach. I've heard people say all kinds of stuff. Maybe you've said it yourself. Whatever you're getting to, you're about to get to, it's not enough. It's not because you don't think you're enough. You might, but that's probably not the case. It's more that we're addicted and excited in a good way and going after this goal. We're almost done with the journey. We appreciate the journey even more. Not while we're in the mud. When we're almost out of the mud, we get an appreciation for it. It's like seeing a sunset and you realizing how nice the sun actually was. So you want to do it again. There's nothing wrong with that. But then sometimes we skip that step and we go right on the next journey. We don't even return home for a moment. We don't celebrate that we got the goal in the first place. There are a handful of things, more than a handful of things, that I take for granted right now as I'm talking to you, that I would give almost anything for when I was younger, when I had these goals. Now, it's just another Monday. In that sense, though, we're robbing ourselves not only of the appreciation, the gratitude, however highfalutin you want to get with it. But we're not just robbing ourselves of that. We're actually robbing ourselves of the ego, of the currency, of us recognizing that we actually are achieving their goals. We did that. But we can be so fast to move on to the next mountaintop as soon as we get to that first one that we don't give ourselves the credit. So we beat ourselves up when we don't get to the next goal as fast as we would like, or get there at all, when we have a whole cascade of mountaintops behind us that we conquered, that we don't even acknowledge. That is not a way to live your life. Here's a secret no one else will tell you. Either because they don't know it or they have their own reasons. And it's this. It's not going to get any easier. You getting more money, you waiting until you get better at something, you waiting till this situationship, or relationship or whatever gets better. It's not going to make a difference. Whatever goals, whatever priorities you have, whatever mountains you're set to climb, they're still going to be there. What's not always going to be there is the energy you have today. You're going to get a day older. More time is going to pass. You're going to have less time to make the impact that you want to make. So what I'm saying to you is that if you keep saying, I'm going to do this when it's easier tomorrow, the fact is your odds are against you. It's not going to get easier tomorrow. I'm not saying you have to do it today, but don't let you thinking that it's going to get easier tomorrow prevent you from starting, because the only thing it's going to do is get harder.